I will say this, and this is kind of, probably a good segue into something else that I want to bring up. But if I know I'm not into a guy and I know I'm never going to see him again, I'll pay for the date. I'll have guilt and I'll feel bad, and I'll either pay or I'll offer to pay. Um, so I want to hear Justina's take though on, Justina, have you found that most men will pay on the
Yeah,
first date? They'll pick up
for
the tab.
sure. For sure. Most men will definitely pay on the first date. There was a date I had went on, but I mean, me and this guy had went on a few dates before, and I just like, I was thankful, that he was like so, gentleman, whatever. And I'm like, hey, I'll get the next one. And he just did not like that very much. I mean, it's not that he was mad about it, but you can tell he was uncomfortable me paying that bill, and like it kind
That's
of made me feel bad after the fact, but I was like, well, just leave the tip, whatever. But you can tell that he just wasn't comfortable with me paying. So, I mean, that was, interesting. And I was like,
really
oh,
good.
my bad, you know? So, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on the situation and the people. Because there was a time too where I had another date where I pretty much ordered food and the individual didn't, maybe they ordered something small. And I was like, you know what, I got it. Because it's like, I mean, I ate food, he didn't, and he was okay with that. So, I mean, it just depends.
Do you feel like when a guy does that, when he lets you pay, do you feel like that's taking away your feminine energy?
No.
How do you feel about that?
It's hard because I think that a lot of women that, and this is openly spoken about in the dating world, that women tend to go on dates on purpose just to get a free meal, right?
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing. And I think that, men are so frustrated by that. And this whole like movement of like women's rights and feminism, and, that they're allowing the women to pick up the tab more often now. But my personal belief, I'm very old school, and maybe it's because I'm older. I think that if a man lets me pay, I feel like he's taking away my feminine energy. I think that, I want the man to be the caregiver. I want him to be the leader. I want him to, um, be the provider. And I, if we're together a while and we're dating longer, then absolutely I'll pick up the tab, the third date, fourth date, whatever. But if you let me pay on that first date or you split the tab, I will never go on another date with you again. I'm out.
Yikes.
No way. Because at the end of the day, I have 3 kids. And if you can't pay for my $60 meal, how are you going to pay for, if my kids, like, what if I got sick? What if we're together 5, 6 years down the road? I break my arms, I can't work. How are you going to take care of me? And so that's just kind of how I view it. Personal preference, I guess.
I mean, I feel like that's definitely the first date type of situation. Just because you said like when you're in a relationship, whatever, you don't mind picking it up. So it's like when you're on that first date, yeah. I mean, you're gonna want them to pay. I mean, if they ask you to pay, you're gonna be like, what the heck? You know what I mean? You're gonna be kind of like taken
Yeah.
by it, like okay, But I mean, once you're like, depending on the situation and how comfortable you are with that person, then you know what I mean. It's like you're not gonna mind picking it up, like especially if it's not like a dinner, like if it's just like a brunch, like a snack or whatever, coffee or whatever you want to do. It's like you're not really gonna mind. Well, that's just how I view it, but
Yeah. No.
What about, okay, so you're saying like a $60 meal. And so I guess I'm just thinking I would always want to pay for the first date, especially
right,
if it was my idea to go on the date.
right,
Like if I approached you and was like, "Do you want to go on a date with me?"
right,
But at the same time, like if I, like let's say it was an online app and my intention was for short term and I knew that was yours too, I don't know if I would go on this. Like $60 is kind of average, but I probably wouldn't go. I'd be like, do we really need to do the $200 date if we
Yeah.
aren't planning on hanging out again,
I
or
see.
should we do
right.
something like? And
I see.
so
That's a good point.
I'd probably think about that. I'd be like, do you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go hang out? Do you want to like get coffee? Do you want to
Yeah.
get lunch and just get to know you a little bit? If I was gonna do like the big fancy date, I'd probably do that with some, and I've dated like 5 people in my whole life. So And that's it. If they're the big
I
fancy
was gonna
date,
laugh
of
at
course
you.
I'd still
Sorry,
pay.
I'm sorry. I did not
No,
mean to laugh.
that's okay.
Yeah.
But like, and for the whole big thing, I'd be like, well, this is a serious. I'm like
Mm,
interested in committing to you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just wouldn't be doing that. You know.
No, it's a good
right,
point.
right.
And you're right. I think, what is at the end of the day, what is your overall intention, right? And
Mhm,
I've had guys say, "Hey, let's go to coffee." And another thing too is like you don't want to go on a date and be stuck with that person for an hour
mhm,
and a half and not be into them, because that's happened to both of us, right?
mhm,
Let's be honest. There's a lot of catfishing going on. And I hate to say it, but I feel like it's more on the women's side, because all these like filters and angles and makeup. I hear a lot of guys say, "Hey, I've met up with this girl and she looked nothing like her picture, and then there you are stuck at dinner, an $80 dinner for an hour and a half." So I think that's a great point. Is coffee, go for a walk, maybe go see a movie. I mean, movies aren't really a great first date, but good point.
Yeah, you don't get. You can't talk.
Yeah.
no, no.
Uh,